This video was done and filmed by Sarah and Kaylee.
Why are we measuring sucrose concentration rather than glucose concentration in the sap? The main sugar in the maple sap is sucrose, not glucose. Maple trees store energy as sucrose, and this is what is transported through the xylem in early spring. Measuring sucrose gives a better estimate of the sugar content that helps determine how much sap is needed to give a volume of syrup. Glucose and fructose appear later during boiling when sucrose breaks down due to the heat. This is the chemical composition of sucrose. Sucrose is a
disaccharide
made of one glucose and one fructose molecule. The chemical formula is C12H22O11. What is believed to cause maple sap flow? Maple sap flow is mainly driven by freeze-thaw cycles in late winter and early spring. Here's how it works. During cold nights, temperatures drop below freezing, causing the gas inside xylem cells to contract and form partial vacuum. Water freezes and pressure drops in the tree. During warm days, the ice melts and the gases expand, increasing pressure inside the xylem. This pressure pushes the sap out through tap holes. Cohesion and adhesion. Due to the hydrogen bonding between water molecules and the walls of xylem vessels help the sap move upward and out. This process is unique to certain tree species like sugar maples and only occurs when the tree is not actively photosynthesizing, i.e., before leaves form in early spring. In contrast, during summer, the sap flow is mostly due to transpiration, water loss through the leaves, which is not helpful for maple syrup collection. Which vascular tissue of the maple tree is responsible for the flow of maple sap? Xylem. Xylem is the tissue responsible for transporting water and nutrients, including sap, from the roots to the rest of the tree. Meanwhile, phloem carries sugars produced by photosynthesis, mostly during summer, and not the sap collected in early spring. What are the main components of maple syrup? Maple syrup is primarily made out of sugars, and this is about 60 to 68% of the syrup. Water, usually around 30 to 35%. Minerals, including potassium, calcium, magnesium, and manganese. Organic acids, such as malic acid. Amino acids, which contribute to the flavor during boiling. Phenolic compounds, antioxidants that add flavor and color. Trace vitamins like riboflavin or vitamin B2.
I'm going to explain how a refractometer works. A refractometer measures the amount of light bends or refracts as it passes through a liquid. The amount of bending tells us about the concentration of dissolved substances, like sugar, in that liquid. Here's how it works. Light enters the liquid sample placed on the refractometer's glass surface. Here's how it works. Light enters the liquid sample placed on the refractometer's glass surface. As light moves from air into the sugary liquid, it slows down and bends due to a change in density. The refractometer measures the angle of refraction and converts it into a refractive index. The device used this value to calculate the sugar concentration, often shown in degrees Brix. 1 degree Brix is 1 gram of sucrose per 100 grams of solution. So the more sugar is more bending of light, higher Brix content. What part of the tree stem do we drill into to collect sap and why? We drill into the xylem, just as we pass the bark and cambium layer. The xylem is where the sap flows upward from the roots during the spring thaw. This is the tissue that carries the sap, rich in sucrose, which we collect to make maple syrup. How do we know if we've drilled too far? If we've drilled too deep, the bit may reach the heartwood, which is the older non-living wood carried in the center of the tree. Signs we've gone too far. no sap flow, or the shavings, aka wood chips, showing darker in color, which means we're in a non-conductive wood. So proper depth is usually around 1.5 to 2 inches into the tree. Why do we angle tap slightly upward? We angle the spill, aka the tap, slightly upward so that the gravity helps the sap flow out of the tree and into the bucket or tubing. If it is flat or angled downwards into the tree, sap might not drip out properly or could pool in the hole, increasing the risk of bacterial cross-contamination. Lastly, by how much does the sap need to be reduced to make maple syrup? Maple sap is about 2 to 3% sugar, while maple syrup is about 66 to 67% sugar. This means you need to boil down about 40 liters or gallons of sap to make 1 liter or gallon of syrup. Rule of thumb, 4 to 1. Sap to syrup ratio. But it can
I'm going to rinse this off so that someone else can use it.
With distilled water.
Yes. Okay guys, ready?
Sunny day of today.
Ooh. Clean it off. And now we're going to wipe it.
A little river over there. See, yep, that's what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Turn that thing clean.
Yep,
there
that's
we go.
right.
This ray of light is hitting this surface and relate the angle of the light coming in relative to what's called the normal, which is an imaginary line that's perpendicular to the surface where the light is going to be hitting. This is called the incident angle, or the angle of incidence. As that light is traveling through the water, which is more dense than the air, this angle is going to be reduced when we look at it in the more dense substance. So the angle of refraction is going to be smaller than the angle of incidence. And the angle of refraction is just the angle that the light ray makes against the normal on the in the other medium. Okay? So the more dense the substance or the medium is, the smaller your angle of refraction is going to get. So this is the theory or the process upon which a refractometer is actually made. So the higher the glucose content, this angle is going to change, and that's going to be reflected on the movement of that line on the scale.
Hey guys, if you couldn't tell, we've got quite a bit of sugar water here, and we're going off of that tree. Now we're going to combine it with a bunch of other sugar water and boil it down.
And they have a fire started over there.
Yay!
You can see the smoke over there.
So the reason that there is no red line showing what the Brix is on this is because it is beyond the scale, meaning there's so much sugar that it's not displaying on here. Let's take a look, shall we? See, there's no line because there's more than 30 Brix percentage.
Yes.